Hello one and all, and welcome to Behind the Glass, your weekly automotive podcast hosted by two rather uninformed enthusiasts.
No.
I'm Sam from the YouTube channel Seen Through Glass.
I'm Tony from Gravelwood Car Sales.
And you can watch us each week on YouTube. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most podcast players. We hope you enjoy the episode. I'm going to make the most of these, I would say, semi-comfortable seats right now, Tony, because my afternoon is going to get a lot more uncomfortable.
Why? Where are you going?
Straight after this, I'm off to pick up an Aventador Ultima for the week.
No.
You know what? This is very embarrassing.
Can't you put them seats in?
I was going to take these armchairs with me. I don't think it's embarrassing to me. I don't know. I have a hernia.
Dear.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing I've ever said. That's funnier than the earthquake.
Why is that so funny to you?
Because it'll be uncomfortable and you'd be squirming in pain.
I think because the amount of time I spend behind the wheel, those long distance road trips, it just ruined my body. So I have this hernia now, and the doctor specifically said it's as a result, or what you should avoid are like sports seats in cars. And I was like, okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'll change my job then.
Literally. And at the moment, it's really playing up because carrying the baby for some reason activates or makes the hernia pop out. And so I woke up this morning, I was like, oh God, the hernia is like playing up. And I thought, oh my God, I'm about to go.
You can get it removed though, right?
You can, but it's proper operational. Like you have to really go into surgery, and it's a couple of weeks recovery. And I was like, I don't have that time.
Yeah.
So it's manageable, but obviously the worst case scenario is your hernia pops and I think you die. So I've got to be slightly careful. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's not really that funny.
Not that amusing. So, but I am quite terrified because last time I spent more than an hour or so in an Aventador, I borrowed the Aventador S in Italy for the weekend, and I was so uncomfortable and sort of miserable in terms of comfort. I didn't want to drive the vehicle. I left it parked outside the hotel. Unless we were going to a great driving road.
Don't take one of them anyway.
I was like, I don't really want it. But
unless you're going to Knightsbridge.
The thing is, as we spoke about briefly, I think last week, Aventador is an icon.
Yeah.
It is a poster car. It's gone. It's the last chance. And this week, the F-Type is going to get prepared for a bit of a winter adventure. So I'm without a daily. And I thought, well, I do have a GT3 and a 360 and Vicky's X3. But hey, why not get an Aventador to use for the week instead?
Oh, no. That'll do you in.
Yeah, so I'm literally going to live with it. I'm going to just use it for all the month. I'm just going to vlog my week with the Aventador.
Right.
Going to be awful.
Terrible.
But I'm also really excited. Do you know what I mean? You must get Part X cars. The Taycan must be a good example. Things that you're like, I got no interest. But then you're also kind of excited and intrigued to spend some time with it.
No, I was genuinely interested in the Taycan, but no, unfortunately that bubble's gone for me.
Really?
Now. Yeah, long gone, mate.
You don't get excited by nothing comes in, you go.
Honestly, I was having this conversation with Paul the other day on the phone. And I this sounds really brattish and spoiled, but I literally do not get excited about cars anymore.
Oh God!
No. What I mean is,
good that we do a car podcast.
No, but what I'm saying is, I got the 296 coming, and it's imminent.
Yeah.
And Paul's going, "Oh, you must be excited." I'm not.
No, but that's awful.
It's awful. But I'm not. Do you know what I'm excited for?
Please.
I'm excited for what I'm going to do in it. That's what excites me about them. The actual car, the piece of metal, you have to understand that I've been exposed to these bits of metal forever, and we've said this before, you just become immune to it, and it's nothing to do with I'm not a petrolhead anymore. I still like driving. Certain cars I like driving. I
think you love driving.
I do.
I actually think you love driving,
but I love driving when we're away. I don't like driving in this country. I couldn't.
We can get into that because that was a rant you gave me at the weekend. I'm happy to revisit if you want. But hold on a second, before we get there, I disagree, mate, because you do a lot of miles. Yeah. You do a ton of miles, and you do a ton of miles in a van. I mean, sometimes you do it in a Range Rover or an RS6 or a Rover.
Yeah. I've got the RS6 today, yeah.
Yeah, you do miles. And I actually think, for example, let's say some scenario happened where you lost your license or you couldn't drive for 6 months.
I'll be done in.
I think you'd be lost. So
everyone would though.
Yeah, of course.
That's
but
driving.
There's some of us, you might not get excited by new cars or cars coming through or getting behind the wheel of new cars anymore because you've been overexposed. But I think you do love driving, no matter what it is. Even if it's something you don't like, I think you love driving.
But I do, that's true. Less so in this country because I drive because I need to drive because it's my job and the miles that I do. And maybe that's why it's a bit diluted because I do so many miles every day. It's just a big part of my life. And if you took that away, of course, I'd miss it. But the bit I obviously do actually genuinely enjoy is when I go away, when I go abroad. Like I enjoy the experience of being away with you boys or my pals or wherever more than actually being in the actual machine.
Sure. Okay. So as long as it's a capable machine, you could be in any of them. It doesn't really, like if somebody says, join us next week and we're going to put you in, as long as it's half decent, you don't really care.
Yeah.
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 Like, I wouldn't want to drive an old 1960s parlour toilet. But
you
yeah.
might be pleasantly surprised.
No,
mate.
I wouldn't be, mate. Because
what about a Gullwing? What about an original Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing?
Yeah, but I would. But that would be a different drive, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You take a young lady with you.
Oh, a young one? Why's she got to be young?
Well, if you've got a Gullwing, it can't be an old lady. You look terrible. It's got to be someone young.
What about an appropriately aged woman?
Well, yeah.
The Predator?
Well, but no, this way I'll end up taking Molly in the castle.
But I think, yeah, it's about being in a car surrounded by similar cars. Because every trip is different. We spoke about it when we've done Rate My Rides and we've spotted like old 1970s Alfa Romeos and gone, ew, that would be lovely just to drive around Lake Como.
Yeah.
So, there's a car for every occasion. But do you think, in summary, there's a truth in the fact of don't make your passion your job because you will lose some of that passion.
Yeah, you just lose that. You just lose that spark of. I can't say that I hate cars now, and I'm not a petrol head because that's not true. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be sitting here. Firstly, and I wouldn't do my job anymore. So I do still have a love for it, but it's not like it used to be for sure, 100%.
But to combat that and to give you a bit of a break, you go to way more car meets than I do in the UK, for sure.
I've tried not to go to them as well.
Well, no, but you do, and you actively plan trips away with your mates, stuff like that, and so you do cover a lot of miles. I think from my side, I'm also the same. If I look at it, my overexposure to cars has changed the way that I feel or act around them.
Yeah.
I still, for me, any experience that is dynamic is always a pinch myself moment because I would far rather drive I would drive a diesel van to Norway tomorrow. I would just do it because that's better than the office job I used to have in my mind. And it's an experience and it's cool and it's a memory and whatever. And that for me, it's all about memories. Right. And experiences. But
that's where me and you are different. I'd fly.
You fly, fair enough.
100% I wouldn't drive there. Not in a van.
In the last 5 years doing what I do, what I've lost, which I wish I hadn't, is being excited when I just walked around a corner or into a room and saw something statically.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough to see so many cars in so many situations that, and I use this example quite a lot. I was in Paris last year, did that trip with the F-Type, stayed at the amazing hotel, and I walked out of the lobby and there were 2 Chirons outside. And I went, cool. And then
you walked past, you weren't interested, you.
Where 5 years ago,
lost your shit.
I would have had a panic attack.
Yeah.
I would have made so much content. That's a whole video. That's a video in itself.
Yeah.
But I just simply don't have that same guttural reaction anymore because I have seen so many, and it's a ridiculous thing to say, but that is the life that we've ended up in. So I can still find things and I still am excited and passionate about the majority of my experiences. But one thing I've lost is that, the spotting. I driving around London, I saw a laugh came past me the other day and I was like, cool, laugh, look.
Interested, yeah.
I would have run 4 miles, chased that.
Yeah.
Like, bye-bye, Vicky.
Yeah.
So it happens. It's overexposure.
And don't forget, I'm 10 or 12 years in front of you as well.
Yes. And mate. And also, you're it's a business. Cars are coming and going.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very different to me.
Yeah,
I'm not buying and selling. I'm just looking.
And without sounding big-headed, there's not really anything I haven't owned that I don't want as well. I've ticked, but I have though, mate.
918 Spider.
Yeah, that's the only car that I actually.
Enzo.
No, I don't want an Enzo.
So, what?
No, I do. No, I'd love an Enzo, but I can't afford one. So the 918 is loads more achievable for me, and I will have one day when I buy. But that's the only car where I'd probably get really excited about.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. But that would be it. But that's more of like.
Should we start a GoFundMe? Buy Tony a 918, and if we did it, we would promise to drive to every single subscriber's house and give them a ride.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
It's actually not a bad offer.
And actually, you could have your money back when I finish with it.
Hold on a sec. Let's do some maths. Let's do some quick man maths. So we've got, what's the YouTube channel these days? 50,000 subscribers?
Yeah, a bit more.
We need to increase that, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
we see you watching. Just subscribe.
Yeah.
So 52.8 thousand subscribers. How much is a 900 grand for
No.
How much is 918 these days?
Definitely £1 million now.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're in trouble here, guys.
Big trouble.
So everyone, actually, if everyone subscribed, contributed £20, we'd get a 918 for this channel, and we would literally come to your house and give you a ride in it. That is not a bad offer.
It's not a bad offer, but how would we get on if it was the other side of the world? Because there's people everywhere, mate.
Because then we'd partner up with the legends at Cars Shipping, and we would take the 918 around the globe as a behind the glass tour.
Yeah, that's what we
think about this. This would be an amazing promotional activity to increase viewership for the podcast. It's basically Drive the World 2.0 in a 918.
In a hypercar.
In a hypercar.
Yeah.
Without Vicky or my baby. Slightly awkward.
But with me.
I can get them to fly and meet us. But yeah, essentially going and visiting every one of our subscribers. I don't know if we would manage it in a year. I'm going to look at the demographics. I'm getting really excited by this.
No, we couldn't manage it in a year. No chance.
Comment. I want to see what the wackiest country that.
Because we have got to earn a living as well in between.
No. This would be
take a sabbatical.
No, it's a sabbatical, mate. Mate. If our audience bought us a 918 Spider, you're taking a sabbatical.
Am I?
Come on, yeah. Because then you can flip at the end to get the profit.
Can I work from my phone? Can I still work?
Yeah.
Phone?
Everyone does that. So here we go.
What about my daughter?
Last 365. Oh, we only see the top 5 countries, but this is basically the majority of our audience are UK, US, easy, Australia, easy, Canada, easy, and Germany.
Easy.
That is 62, 67, 70. That's 75% of our audience in those 5 countries.
Perfect.
Come on, people. Okay, genuinely, if we get...
It's actually a really good idea.
It's such a good idea. If we get 1,000 likes on this episode, how many likes do we usually get?
4.
Hold on. We get... Oh, okay, no, more than that.
Yeah.
If we get 5,000 likes on this episode, we will start that GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Really?
Wow, we're getting a 918, mate. How exciting.
Everyone's got to give 20 quid.
Come on, what's 20 quid?
The only thing that
these days is a lot of money with the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
That's literally like, well, it's one light bulb in your house. But anyway,
there's only one thing that concerns me. There'll be one sod that lives in Syria, and I don't really fancy going there.
Oh, don't, mate. What's happening there is just a
I know. It's like the terrible, mate.
I know these things happen all over the world, and not all of it gets the coverage that this particular crisis is getting. But as a human story, it is so hard to watch that footage and not just like be full of pain and sorrow and hurt for. It's just shocking. Like it is
terrible,
terrifying. And we are so lucky in this country to not only not be at risk of major natural disasters.
Is it because it's on the fault?
It's 3 fault lines.
Fault lines.
Yeah.
Right.
So 3 plates that come together and meet on a massive fault line.
Right.
But also, we've got amazing infrastructure here, which they're not lucky enough to have done. Like, you know, through a number of reasons. Just, if it's a place that suffers earthquakes regularly, and none of those buildings were earthquake safe.
Yeah, fair.
And it's so heartbreaking and upsetting to see. And I think, you know, I've done a little bit on my part, much as I thought I could do in terms of helping. I think it's all we can do, right? So all you can do is just try and offer help or send help or do whatever. And no, it's shocking. So
yeah, it's terrible when you see the families and the children.
My God.
Especially like that will hit home more with you now. You got a daughter.
1 million%.
It's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And the other place that really suffers with it is where we went, right? In LA. And they got
yes.
San
It's the San Andreas fault, yeah. Right. But that's, it's like once every 40 years that hits.
Right,
I think this is an area that suffers earthquakes regularly, as we know, also does Indonesia, as you remember well from my stories. That's the Ring of Fire, they call it down there. Because it's literally such an active tectonic plate. So there's earthquakes all the time.
That's common, yeah.
New Zealand as well. New Zealand are literally, it's always shaking. New Zealand,
right?
Always shaking. But and Japan. But those places have the money and the infrastructure to build safer buildings,
right? So they don't fall down.
So they don't fall down so quickly. And that's what's so horrific about the footage, the stories, the situation in Turkey and in Syria. So
anyway. It's on the border, right? It's on the border of Syria and Turkey, right?
I think that's where it was most affected.
It runs right across.
Well, I don't know where the fault line runs, but where this particular earthquake has affected is in between the two.
Yeah, terrible.
Anyway, let's try and move on to some slightly lighter topics. Well, actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to move on to a Tony rant because you touched on it just a second ago.
Mate, you always say this. People just think I'm really miserable all the time.
Hey, you are.
Oh.
Okay. You called me over the weekend.
Fuming.
Mate, I cannot stand how people drive in this country.
It's got worse.
So go on. What's your big issue?
Well, a lot of things are my big issue.
Okay.
But you've half touched on it. Driving in central London now is a full-on disaster. But I was calling you about motorway driving because that's what I done a lot of driving over the weekend. I went to Leicestershire, go and watch the football.
Oh, hey, come on, you Blues.
I don't want to talk about that because we lost. Got a good idea.
Your team of crap.
Really bad, yeah. And then I went down to the New Forest because I went to see the Purasang.
Oh, look at you.
Yesterday. We can touch on that a little bit.
We're not. We're going to say that because I'm driving it in a week.
All right, let's do that after.
Talk about it afterwards.
So I've done a lot of miles, a lot of motorway miles in the RS6, actually. Very lovely on the motorway, that car.
Must have been expensive.
No, average 27 to the gallon.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
What were you doing, cruising at 40 miles an hour?
Well, even if I had been, I still would have overtaken all the wallies that are sitting on the overtaking lane, the third lane.
So this was your complaint, is that
that's so annoying, mate.
You believe driving standards in the UK have got worse, and now on our motorways, our highways, our autobahns, people are clogging up,
hogging
our outside lane, which is supposed to be just purely an overtaking lane. The highway code or the rules of the roads, you're supposed to be in the inside lane. You can use the middle lane to overtake the inside lane, or if you need to, you use the third lane.
Correct.
To overtake the inside and the middle.
Should all be on the inside lane, basically.
But as soon as you've done that overtake, you should move back in.
Correct.
Now, there's obviously, you could argue that if you're approaching or catching a vehicle in front of you that you're going to overtake imminently, you could stay in that far lane for a minute or whatever, but if it's an empty lane situation, if you're not actively overtaking, you shouldn't be in one of those two overtaking lanes.
Correct.
But in this country, everyone joins the motorway
and goes straight to lane 3 or 4
and just sits there. Has a lovely time.
At 67 or 68 mile an hour, 65 mile an hour. They're not even doing 70 mile an hour most of the time. So I was on the M1, which is one of the worst motorways for it. In 4 lanes of traffic, I was in lane 2, and there's people driving slower than me in lane 4.
I mean,
just like literally, mate, in a complete world of their own. There's like a chain of 6 cars, all in lane 4, just sitting there.
Yes. I mean, you know what I mean?
I was fuming. I rang you up.
You do something about raging. Yeah. I said the problem is we can talk about this on the podcast, but then there will emerge some footage of me sitting in the F-Type at 60 miles an hour for 30 miles on the M1. I've definitely been at fault. I try as hard as I can. Like I like to think that I'm not a lane hogger, and if I ever see anyone even approaching my rear mirrors, illegally speeding or not, I'm like, I get right out of the way. I try to be as courteous as possible. But there'll definitely be times when I haven't been paying attention and I've ended up sitting in that lane longer than I could have been. Yeah. I will freely put my hands up and admit that. But I see it far worse than what I'm doing, 1,000,000%, and I get aggravated by it. So therefore, I like to think that I'm not the worst offender.
I mean, we're very lucky in this country because we've got one of the safest road networks in the world, and the motorways as well. They are statistically the safest roads in the world.
Just bumpy.
But they are very safe. But the driving standards are some of them, mate. And you know what? There's even cars. There's even actual cars that are actually worse offenders than other car makers. So the worst that I always see is Peugeot. If you've got a Peugeot, by the way, just don't drive. Get the bus. Throw the car away. Get the train or the bus or fly. Do anything. Just don't get in your car. They're the worst drivers ever. The other ones, hybrid, Toyota, Uber drivers.
Oh, yes. No, but Uber drivers in general. Just so far up their own bums. Just think they rule the road. They do whatever they like. And don't get me started on Uber drivers in central London. I actually think Range Rovers.
That was my third one.
Yeah, but often old Range Rovers.
Yeah. But do you know what that is? The Range Rover is for completely the different reason of the Uber driver and the Peugeot driver.
Yeah.
The Range Rover is, I'm in a Range Rover, I'm in a great big Jeep, and I am not moving.
Well,
I'm blocking the road.
I can tell you what my dad used to obviously have all those Range Rover Sports. Wasn't that at all, because he's not that mentality. But his was, I hate driving. I'm miserable. I've bought this very expensive car that I don't know if I even like, but it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
And if I just join the motorway and just get on into that fast lane, I don't have to do anything for 70 miles.
It just drive itself.
I can just sit here. Yeah, I'll put adaptive cruise control on, radio 4. I don't have to pay attention.
Yeah, and I got to be here, but...
Yeah, I've got to be here.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do about it, but I'm not going to move lanes. Oh, that's exhausting. I think that's Range Rovers.
Yeah.
But, what can we do? We can sit here and moan and complain. We're not going to change anything.
Well...
This is just... I see people complaining about Twitter all the time.
Yeah.
We're lucky we get to go into mainland Europe and see how people really use their motorway network or their auto route network, and it makes sense. Overtaking, then get out the way. And I say, I try my best, but... sometimes you just get caught in that train. That's the other thing which is hard, is let's say you get caught in that train of people going 60, 62 miles an hour, but you've then also got traffic in the middle lane. What are you supposed to do? Like aggressively cut in between non-stop? Because you then end up undertaking, which is also not permitted.
Yeah.
So it's the mess. It's a mess, but rant over.
I know there's one more little bit. So. There's another thing that really annoys me just as much as that. Lorries overtaking other lorries on 2 carriageways. So one's doing 55 and one's doing 56. Now, I understand I'm probably going to upset some lorry drivers, because I'm sure some of you are. But honestly, what does 1 mile... And actually, it's dangerous, by the way, because if there's an emergency vehicle trying to get past on one lorry's doing 55 and one lorry's doing 56, you're holding a queue of traffic up. There's nothing you can do about it. You've got to sit there. You either brake or come back in, which you obviously don't want to do, or you sit there and wait till you overtook, which takes 25 minutes because you're doing 1 mile an hour faster than the truck in front.
Tony.
It's infuriating.
If you were a lorry driver, would you not be launching every other lorry on the road?
No.
Yes. Shut up. I'm sorry, would be there maxing out RPMs and speed on your lorry. Get out of the way! I'm coming through.
Well, I wouldn't do it. It's just,
no.
It annoys me so much.
You are caught in a lie there, my friend. You would be launching everyone. I am not going to tackle lorry drivers like you on that one. One, I will just, that's what it is. Just quickly, Johnny Smith is watching over on Recast live. In case lots of our regular viewers have forgotten, we live stream these recording sessions every week on our Recast page. And Johnny said, how are you finding the manual in the GT3? Any regrets? I'm looking at a 718 GT4 and torn due to the long ratios. Any advice? I absolutely adore the manual in the GT3. That's also long-legged. And obviously, as a 6-speed, it means you rev pretty high on the
It's not as long-legged as the GT4, though.
That's what I was going to say. The GT4 is another level. I would have a PDK GT4.
Yeah, so would I, and I've got one in stock, so I'll go and have a look.
There you go, Johnny. Now, let's move on, because actually, today's a bit of a Q&A episode, so well timed, Johnny, with your interruption. But it's a bit of a Q&A episode. We've got 2 sort of update episodes this week, and then next week, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be doing, but... Well, no, anyway, stay tuned. We just thought we'd, battle through some questions, because not really the start of a new year, but it sort of is. And we haven't caught up with you all for a while. So we're just going to dive into this and see where it takes us. Curtis Docks, future classics. What would you invest in today? It's a good old question. I've got a few that I'm going to kickstart with whilst Tony racks his brains.
Future classics.
Future classics, yeah. So I'm going to say it, and Tony's going to scoff at all of them. Alpha GTA and 8 AM, so the hardcore Julia GTAs.
Really?
Yep. Golf R32, already starting going up, the Mark IV. And I thought one the other day, I went, oh, that's going to be a classic in the future. I'd love to say Alpha 4C, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe that car's going to be 50, 60 grand again in 10 years' time. Do you know what I mean? I don't think people are going to look back and go, oh, that was a... I don't know why, and I sound so sour, but yeah. So I'm going to say Alpha GTA and AM. I would put Project 8 in that, but you're just going to rip me apart, so I'm just not going to have that conversation. And that's
R32 only gone one
Golf.
way down.
R32 Golf.
I'd agree with the R32 Golf,
Nice.
sure.
Nice.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with the others.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
What would you say? What do you see that you think that's going a bit undervalued, underappreciated, that could flip?
I mean, it's really hard to... I honestly think, if you're going really up in values, I think a 918s would be good value going forward.
All right, we're not all millionaires, mate.
No. But what I'm saying is that when you look at the other two, P1 not necessarily, but a good laugh is 2.2, 2.3 million. The 918, I know there's a lot more of them, but it's still a comparable car. It's half price. You got the Carrera GT, which is fetching a fortune for
Overtaken the 918 in terms of value.
which is ludicrous when you think about it. But yeah, it has. I'll tell you what I do think will actually be good news, modern classic. Mm-hmm. If there's a good one with good mileage, 458.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're still fairly reachable for a lot of people. When you look at a Speciale,
Mm-hmm.
A good Speciale now is 350.
Mm-hmm.
They do fluctuate up and down, but a good one is 350. There are some around that people are asking 400. I think that's ludicrous. But when you think of 458 is a good 458's 140, 150, under 10,000 miles, good car with proper history from a Ferrari dealer. As they become less and less, and what they represented with the McLaren 4C thing,
12C. MP4 12C.
Yeah. They changed the supercar market, them cars. So I would say a 458 would be a good shout.
Yeah, supercar territory. We've mentioned the 675 LT quite a few times.
Yeah.
I think 12C's got a shout if you can find one that works. I think M2 CS is a bit of a BMW M2 CS. You know, that sort of is a little bit overlooked, sometimes and a bit quiet and forgotten, but could be one of those weird ones that in 10 years' time, people, look at M3 GTS, the orange one. What's that? E92, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, they go from like hundreds of thousands now.
Yeah.
So I think there could be a market for that.
But then if you're going to go on that, then look at the M4 GTS and the DTM then.
But I don't think, weirdly, they're as special because, DTM was just a wing and a stripe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And GTS was
not very good.
Not very good. Whilst the M2 CS, I think, is regarded as the ultimate of that car, blah, blah, blah. Depends how the new M2 does,
But they say that about a GT4 RS, the ultimate. Yeah, that might be one.
I'm not sure. Well,
GT4
did you see the
RS?
spy shots, by the way, of the Boxster Spider RS?
No.
Sorry, Boxster Spider? The 718 Spider RS.
Yeah.
Spy shots of that, getting its sort of promo photos done in the desert somewhere. They've obviously, the hard thing for them was you've got those side intakes on the GT4 RS.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you had to replicate. So they're scoops on the Spider, so on the sort of tunnels behind your head, they're like sort of external scoops. So I think that must be getting unveiled any second now. And then I saw some more rumours. And actually, maybe Shmee tweeted this, that they're going to do a 718R, which will be a manual version of these RS variants.
So a bit like a 911R.
Exactly. Same concept. The top spec, but in a manual
That could be another car, 911R, by the way.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That could be one.
And Speedster.
Yeah.
911 Speedster.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Alex Curie. Do you think Ferrari or supercar makers will ever do a circa 500 horsepower lightweight car again? Nope.
Why would they?
Why would? They're not going to go backwards, are they? I would love them to. There's long rumoured returns of the Ferrari Dino, a sort of baby entry-level Ferrari that would replace Portofino, but I don't see it happening.
No, the problem is cars are getting heavier and heavier, which means they need to put more power in them. So for that reason, I don't see them. They're not just going to go all engine, are they, nowadays? And
it's a sort of cheapens the brand if you watch, because what are you going to say, like, oh, here we go, we've made a sort of lighter, less powerful but real driver focused car, so therefore theoretically it's got to be cheaper, but then they're not going to do that. They're not going to suddenly come out with a 150 grand Ferrari.
No chance.
It might be a special limited something, but they're going to make it 500 grand because it is a special limited something.
Yeah.
So I don't see it. I think what we're seeing more and more is that what were the 300 horsepower sports cars are becoming 500 horsepower sports cars. So, they're replacing that. So help me out here, but what's got 500 horsepower these days? But
GT3.
No. Yeah, of course. But okay, what's got 400 horsepower? Well, how much does an A45S got?
420.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Used to be 300.
Yeah.
Same as an RS3, 400.
Yeah, which is more than my 360. So, I think that's what's going to be happening.
Faster than your 360. Yeah. Genuinely.
Literally. Schmeekel. Other than cars, what are your hobbies?
Well, I'm a big football fan.
Big football fan.
Come
on, you.
Spurs,
big, Tottenham, people.
I'd love to take you to a football game. It'd be the funniest thing ever. Big football game. I like playing football as well. But other than that, really, like...
Where do you play when you play football? What position? Goal?
No.
You're not a goalie? I saw you as a goalie.
Play up front.
No, you do not.
I do, yeah.
What, because you don't have to run as much?
No, I run a lot, mate. You'd be surprised, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just a bit old now, but yeah, I can still play.
What?
Ask Paul Wallace.
I was going to try and ask you some football.
You can't do it.
I was like, what?
No.
I've got nothing.
Don't ask me anything. And obviously, motor racing. So and oddly, I like snooker as well.
You like snooker, playing or watching?
Both. I used to play snooker a lot when I was younger.
Really?
Like a lot, mate.
When you weren't cracking snooker things over people's heads.
I had my own cue. And
no, you did not.
I did, yeah.
Was it engraved?
No, but it was made to me. I went to a special shop.
Ah,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Regularly get like, I know it's not like professional, but I'd regularly get like 50 breaks and all that. When I was a kid, when I was younger, like 18, like I was okay at snooker.
That's incredible.
So actually now, like obviously I don't really play anymore. I can still play.
Yeah.
But
bit rusty, but
but yeah, I can.
Could you swindle some people out of money? Could you go and be like, oh, fancy going snooker, and then clean up?
Yeah, I'd think so. Yeah, and pool as well. But snooker's loads harder than pool.
What's the difference?
It's a bigger table and it's just harder.
Okay,
pockets are smaller, balls are smaller, and yeah, I used to play a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then do you watch?
I love watch because I used to play it. There is such an art in it's so underrated. Like professional snooker, especially the pros and like Ronnie O'Sullivan and the proper pros. They're like incredible, mate.
Wow.
It's like amazing.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
How funny, snooker.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it with you, by the way.
No.
Thanks for the invite.
You have to be into it.
Yeah. I wouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What are my hobbies? Music. Music's always been a huge hobby of mine. Like a total music.
You used to be in a band, everyone.
Used to be in a band
when he had hair,
rock and roll. I had proper hair. Used to bleach it every now and again. So yeah, still massively into my music. Don't go to that much live music, but I just like. I like the emotional tracks. Shut myself away and lose myself. And then film. I actually would say film more than music these days. I am film kind of obsessed. So I will consume a lot of film, but I'll also
Who's your favourite actor at the moment or in general?
Oh, that's such a difficult question.
No, it's not. I have a favourite.
No, I don't have a favourite. I admire many because I admire the craft of acting.
Me too.
So it sounds obvious, but I think DiCaprio is fantastic.
Fair.
I think Brad Pitt's career has been interesting.
I would say DiCaprio is a better actor than.
I would agree, but if you look at Brad Pitt's longevity and what he's now doing at this stage of his career, it's pretty fascinating and interesting. And the roles he's taking on and bedding into, I don't know, I think he's doing interesting stuff. I think Ben Affleck's also been fascinating in terms of his career trajectory. I get more obsessed with the art of filmmaking.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you get more obsessed with women actresses.
Well,
so do I.
They do have different qualities that appeal.
What's that lady in the Bond film that you? What's her name?
I don't know, Tony. I can't
because I think she's really amazing.
Should we
as well.
Google it? Oh right, Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she is amazing. Yeah, like genuinely.
Not going to say anything more about that. Yeah. But no, anyway, so yeah, I just love film and independent film, Hollywood film, but more so, the act of putting a film together, and so that's kind of, I think most of my time, if I'm not doing car stuff, I'm kind of engaged.
I know a little bit about that because my mate works on films. So he sort of told me bits and pieces, but yeah, it's fascinating. What I can't get my head around is the money they waste.
Well, the money they waste and the time they waste.
The time they waste, yeah.
Like, I think people have no idea how outrageously boring a film set can be.
And you know what the most incredible thing is as well? The top actors as well. And by the way, Denzel Washington's my favourite actor.
Fair.
I think he's incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
Is how they're normal people. Then when they get called, they go straight into actor mode.
Well, but also it so depends, because like you have method actors like Daniel Day-Lewis who will literally disappear for 3 years and become the character, and he turns up and you have to call him the name of the character, and then you have the people who can turn it on and off. But then you have someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I absolutely adore, but essentially plays himself in every single film. You have it's about being, are you a Hollywood superstar?
Yeah.
Are you a movie star? Are you an actor? Are you an actor? Like, there's so many different levels of the craft. And it is super interesting, I think, in the way you pull on experiences. And you've got to be a bit of a weird, beige, flopsy character, person to then take on so many personalities. But
I think Tom Hanks is another one as well.
Tom Hanks is brilliant. I mean, all the big superstars you can think of are for a reason. Those kind of superstars.
Yeah.
Okay, back to cars. Oliver Lambrex, is the 997 generation Porsche the one to go and buy right now?
No.
I know what you're trying to say, Oliver. I think the 997 generation is a good option right now. They're great value. You've got a range of cars. They bought the GTS out for 997.2. Got turbo generations. You got 997.1. I know Tony's going to poo on, but actually is still half decent
because of the bore scoring. So if you are going to get a 997, get the .2. So
if you can, you say, I mean, the 996 has bore scoring, but every car's a bit different. You just got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
it's not a disaster. But they've obviously now offered the Porsche communication, the PCCM Plus, so you can get Apple CarPlay and all that stuff like that into the 997 generation.
Yeah.
So it is a good bet, but I wouldn't say that's the 911 to go and buy right now.
Yeah. But if you want reliability and you can, and you are looking at a 997, get the .2. So pre 2000, late 2008, 09 onwards.
Agreed. And get the GTS. Anyway.
I used to have one of them, by the way.
They're so nice.
I had a white convertible,
Oh, convertible?
Yeah, I had a white convertible.
You like a convertible 911,
I did
you?
back then. I don't. I don't like convertibles now.
Lammy Pammy Bottahammy. What a name. More on synthetic fuels. Well, funny you should say that, Lammy Pammy Bottahammy. Lots more coming. It feels like this year, suddenly everyone's gone, synthetic fuels. Like I saw a piece on Harry's Garage, Harry Metcalf. I think Evo did a piece on it. Like suddenly everyone's gone to synthetic fuels.
We've been talking about it for a year.
We've been here for a year. Welcome to the conversation. That's me doing what you did last week. Blowing smoke up my own arse. But
it's genuinely true.
It's genuinely true. Yeah. And lots more to come. Obviously, I did some work with P1 at the end of last year, midway through last year, putting their synthetic fuels in the 360. They've got some really exciting stuff coming up this year, so I'm hoping to jump on board with some of their activations this year. And maybe, you know what, I was like, I should do an epic synthetically fueled journey. Like, I said to them, get a support vehicle and let's just drive to like the Arctic Circle and just do it all on synthetic fuel. What a vibe. Anyway, that's what needs to be worked out. But obviously, major companies and manufacturers are getting involved. Porsche, we know, with their synthetic fuel company.
Yeah.
So there's lots to come on this channel and on my main channel. Synthetic fuels is going to be a big theme for 2023. So don't worry, watch this space. Motec. Oh, what's going on, the boys at Motec? Motec do amazing work in and around BMWs and other makes, I think. But anyway, they've asked BMW subscription for added extras like heated seats and auto headlights. So we've seen a lot of chat about this.
Yeah, Audi are on it as well.
What are your thoughts about the theory that you can go and buy a car and then you go, oh, I should have optioned or I wanted heated seats, and they go, well, that's $795 a month, sir.
Yeah, so that's obviously what they're trying to get people on is on subscription now. So, and for them, actually cheaper, because what they'll do is they'll just make every car the same and then just switch on via Bluetooth or however they do it, what you want and when you want it. There's a little bit of a grey area in how they completely do it, because what if you don't buy the car from them and it's not on their finance package, then what have you got to do? You then pay the finance package. Have you got to then call them and then get a subscription on top of the finance package? So the new car sales is going to change greatly over the next 5 years, mainly because a lot of them want to go to agency, which is online. So they all want to be like Apple and Amazon.
I think Land Rover just announced that, didn't they?
Mercedes have already started.
Yeah.
Started in January.
Sure.
I don't know the figures yet, but we're going to wait a while. But I will come on and talk about that once I know a little bit more. We're just going to let them run for a while and see how they are. Land Rover are going from 2024.
I think so,
believe.
yeah. And they're like different. So they're going to be their own brands, aren't they? Like Defender's going to be its own brand.
Correct.
Range Rover's going to be its own brand.
Yeah. So they're not. Yeah. Again, they're going to make the dealers spend even more on remodeling the showrooms after they've just spent.
I went to the one in Mayfair, to the SV boutique. It's actually super nice.
I bet it is. Yeah.
It's like a real luxury boutique.
Yeah.
So but you think it's a good idea, the subscription thing, or you think it's a bit messy?
It's just another way to get some more money out of people, basically. That's what it'll be. It'll be, we're going to make a car, we're going to put all the options on it, and you can have whatever they'll make it sound like they're doing you all a favour, but actually it's not. They're doing them a favour.
On basic maths, let's say you've got a 20 grand car, and originally you're going to go and put 5 grand's worth of options on it, so you're going to be a 25 grand car. So if you buy the car base spec, it's going to cost you 150 quid a month. If you buy it spec'd up, it's going to be 175 quid a month.
Yeah.
So this model is well, you've got your 150 quid a month car, and then you're going to add £3 a month for your heated seats. So it's basically going to end up the same, £2 a month for your windscreen wipers. And you're going to end up, well, there you go, £175. So actually it shouldn't affect you theoretically as much as maybe you would think. Haley Wixie, dad life. Let's talk about pushchairs, car seats, and all the gadgets. I actually want to do a dad episode because I think it's blown my mind. Firstly,
amazing how time changed. I never ever thought I'd hear that come out of your mouth.
Hey, you must have at some point.
I didn't think you had it in you originally.
How rude. But yeah, blown my mind how much gear and gizmos, firstly, are out there and available. Yeah. But also, like but also, what's blown my mind is how much space it all takes up.
Correct.
We've got an X3 as the family car. By the time that the base for the pushchair's in there, which is an upper baby for those that want to know, the bassinet, because she's obviously still a wee one, so you need a bassinet, the swivelly ISOFIX car seat base, and then the car seat itself.
And the bags. Don't forget she's got to have a bag.
Well, but that's just to go for a walk, mate.
Yeah.
Well, there's no room for anyone. No one can sit in the front seat anymore unless you've got no legs. So Twiggy's claimed the front seat. Vicky's in the back, which I think is probably safer anyway. But if we wanted to load up for a weekend away, we've got to rent a Range Rover.
Yeah.
That's insane. How do people with A3s or Golfs do it?
They don't have all that stuff.
What do you mean? Everyone has to have a pushchair and a car seat.
Oh, well, they don't have as big ones then.
No, mate, I spent months buying the smallest one I could. It was my criteria of when folded, it needs to take up as least space in the car as possible because I have stupid cars.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got an A3 or a hatchback and you've got children, a baby, put in the comments how you get on, please, because we'd like to know. So with this, what's his name?
Haley Wixie.
It's a lady.
Could be. Hard to know on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's 2023. Could be they.
Haley would be
Haley
would be a nice boy's name, actually.
Haley. I think there are a few Haleys out there.
Yeah, be cool, wouldn't it? You'd be a rocker.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Haley, yeah.
Haley Wixie.
Yeah.
Front lead singer of...
It's like Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
It's a cool name,
Go on,
isn't it?
Alice. What a ledge.
Yeah.
Reese and Peas. That's good.
Is that-
Reese and Peas. Because I guess it's called Reese.
Oh, right.
It's got Reese and Peas. Have you considered removing the rear wing of your GT3? Absolutely not. Not for 1 second.
What about the seats?
Tony said, what about the seats? What a dick. Where's your GT3, mate?
Oh, I just
Still
don't
can't afford
want
the
one
finance,
anymore.
can you?
I can't afford anything. I'm skint.
Yeah, we know that. There was a whole thing when 992 GT3 came out that people went, oh, actually, it's really easy to remove the rear wing. Just 4 bolts and a few screws and off you go.
Yeah.
And it looked like a touring, but with a nice little ducktail. And to be fair, like it did look all right. But I've said before...
Crash.
And I'm not just saying it because I own a winged car, but I think the winged 992 looks better than the touring. I think the touring is too aggressive with the rear diffuser. So I'm happy with the winged car. But also, yes, I spoke to 2 or 3 people that did this, and they're like, over 70 miles an hour, death. You lose all stability on the rear end because, don't forget, the touring has that active rear wing that rises up, and it's a big old active rear wing. So if you lose that, you've got no stability on the rear end. And they said it's like that feeling when you go past a lorry, you spoke about this earlier, on the motorway, and you get that gush of wind. It's the same sort of thing, basically.
Yeah.
So I have absolutely no plans to do that at all. Chandler, 2997, would either of you ever do the Gumball Rally?
No.
No? Why not?
No chance, mate.
Why not? Why not?
Because I could not think of anything worse than firstly driving on the motorway all day and then landing somewhere and getting pissed all night and then getting up the next day and doing it all again. No way, mate.
I have to agree, it's my worst nightmare.
And mine.
I've been on a few rallies. I did Modball a couple of times, which I enjoyed, but then it is just, you're just driving from party to party.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big partier.
No.
I'm definitely not at the level of gumballers who go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every night. It sort of feels like slightly a pissing contest as who can spend more, who can be more.
Willy waving, yeah.
It feels like that a bit from the outside. I've never done it, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But then, to be like so hungover, and you then somehow got to get yourself onto the next, and they're like 10-hour driving days.
Yeah.
It's not like, I'll just drive 3 hours down the road. Like they do mammoth stints.
Yeah.
And so either you can't party because you're going to drive the next day, or you've just got to feel like crap in an uncomfortable car because it's Gumball, so you've probably taken yourself an Aventador SVJ or an SF90. Like, just going, why are we in this? So, it has never appealed to me.
No.
Interestingly. But is there potential for a behind-the-glass rival rally? Hello, watch this space.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be on motorways, by the way.
It would not be, which
No
just means a
chance.
load of crashes. David Cousins, I'm buying my first Porsche. Help me.
What, financially?
I'm not sure we can, David. What's your budget?
Yeah.
What kind of thing?
What do you want?
Okay, let's assume he's got like a 60 or 70k budget.
GT4.
No, I'm going to say Cayman, 718 Cayman GTS. I think if it's your first Porsche, don't go in at GT4.
Why?
Because there are better Porsches in the range that aren't so focused. GT4 is a bit too much. If you've never spent time in and around a Porsche, I think you'd be like, oh, it's a bit rattly. It's a bit hardcore on the road. It's a bit noisy. It's a bit long geared. It's not very fast until you rev it out.
It's not very fast at all.
Well, there you go. So I would actually say, scrap the 718 GTS, go and buy either a 991.2 GTS or a 992 Carrera S. It's going to do everything. It's your first
That's
Porsche.
$100,000 though.
So is a 991.2 GTS, right? Oh yeah, that blows my budget. Sorry, good point. Sorry, yes, of course. What did I do? I don't know. I wouldn't have a GT4. I don't know. I would have if it's my first Porsche. Oh, I'll go back to what I said earlier. 997.2 GTS.
Oh, they're still 60 odd grand.
Yeah, that's in my budget.
Be easy 60 odd grand.
There you go. Done. Tick the box.
No, not for me. If you haven't got a budget, go and buy a Turbo S. Do one.
Go buy a 918 Spider. Then last specific question from Ovimotive. How to start a YouTube channel for your supercar collection? Is it worth it?
It was never worth it.
Yeah. For me, these questions always, they don't frustrate me, but I kind of want to be brutal with you, because if you want to start a YouTube channel, that's great. And I'm all for people starting YouTube channels. It is an amazing thing to be able to do and have fun with. But you've got to be you've got to have a desire to do it. You've got to have an idea. You can't just sit home and go, I want to start a YouTube channel. What's it going to be about? Like what's my... Because well, what's your motivation in general? Like, surely you want to create something. Maybe you've got a supercar collection, then just get filming it. Like just crack on. Like, make videos that you want to make. What do you want to share? What do you want to show your friends? Like, what would you want to see? If you're literally at square one going like, I've got no idea, then you're probably not the thing to do. It's a creative space. You can't sit there being like, oh, I want to be a pop star. How do I get started? Well, can you sing? like what kind of music do you want to make? Like, how do you want to be produced? What do you want to look like? It's too difficult to literally, you've got to have some kind of creative idea or motivation. We spoke about him before we started recording, Matt Armstrong, absolute genius and legend, and has proven there is still so much opportunity with automotive in YouTube. The guy is just absolutely blown up over the last 12 months, and deservedly so. His content is epic and all around the world. People are freaking out about it. And it's not necessarily anything revolutionary. There are other channels globally doing similar things, but he found his own style, his own way of editing and producing, and cars and things that he was passionate about. And that you've got to be passionate. So you're sitting there, if you're saying, oh, how to start YouTube for if you've got a supercar collection, you must love your cars, then just start making videos about how much you love your cars. Don't overthink it. Passion is what's going to lead the way forward. That's what's going to get you views if you're passionate. Look at Train Guy, the guy on TikTok. He just loves trains.
No idea.
The guy that Paul always says freaks out about trains.
Yeah, he loves them, yeah.
If somebody said to you, oh yeah, there's going to be a guy who's going to upload videos like train spotting and freaking out, you'd be like, what a weirdo.
Yeah.
But it's infectious excitement. So
and people love him because of it, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you want to start your channel on as long as you're passionate. You can literally start on putting together IKEA furniture, on tying shoelaces in funny ways, whatever it is. But if you're passionate, you're going to have fun, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to be creative, and people are going to enjoy following along. So
what we don't advise that you do is do it because you've been sold the dream by social media.
Well, exactly
it
that.
Ain't what it seems.
You're not going to make tons of money.
Nope.
You're not going to become famous. All of these things, like it is a slog. And for every Matt Armstrong, there are a million channels that never get more than 100 subscribers.
And he does well because of him.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's done well, because people are drawn to his personality, and he created something that not many people have been able to do, and that's why he's blown up.
And also, if you look at it, he's created a channel in 2013. 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's been uploading for 10 years, but it's not an overnight thing. So I want to promote people to be creative and to get out there and start channels. I think it's brilliant. I'm just trying to be as brutally honest with you as possible.
Yeah.
That if you are not a creative person, if you are not a passionate person, or you're not passionate about the topic that you want to make a channel, it's going to go nowhere. Yeah. Because I've started a channel and they go, hi, this is my Ford Mustang 5 litre. And you're like,
yeah, gone. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. And the final thing that I wanted to mention, which is a question that was submitted 1,000 times over, and I think probably is an episode, but also we've done it in an episode. Best all-round car. Everyone always wants to know, what is the ultimate one-car garage? And I'm talking like reasonable, 40 to 60 grand one-car garage.
Reasonable Oldham in it. Because
I'm out of touch.
Yeah, because that's reasonable to people that earn that sort of money, mate. There's plenty of people that watch this channel that earn 25 grand a year. They can't afford a 40 or 60 grand car.
Totally fair. So sorry, that was out of
that needs
like Chirons.
I'd always say the best all round car every day. You wouldn't necessarily agree. One of them is an M5 comp. You've got an RS6, which I drive at the moment, a Range Rover, but they're all like 90, 100 grand. Sports car, I'd always say Turbo S, 180 grand. It's really hard to segregate because everyone has a different budget.
Yeah.
What's the best car for $1,000?
And at each budget, there are different cars and options.
Yeah.
My default is M340i Touring.
Fair.
It will just tick every single box, but it's going to leave you a little bit disheartened if you're someone who's into real sports cars.
50 grand that car.
Exactly. So every budget's going to be different. And also, I don't think there's an ultimate answer, because every car's going to be slightly compromised in some shape or form. So if there was the ultimate all-rounder, we'd all have one.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally the truth. So I wanted to address it, but it's impossible to answer, I think. But anyway, those were a handful of the questions which got submitted. Let me just see if anyone else on Recast has submitted anything through. A few thumbs up and positive.
So I was at Ferrari yesterday, actually.
Yeah?
I saw my old car.
Oh, which one?
We didn't even know each other then. It was the first proper Ferrari that I'd ever bought.
No way.
Yeah, it was a 458. It was a 2012 car. Bought it from Colchester as a used car. But it wasn't that old. It was like 18 months, 2 years old. And it's now turned up at the New Forest nearly 10 years later.
That's mad.
With like another 7,000 or 8,000 miles on it.
Tempted to buy it back?
But someone said that to me yesterday. Get this. It's only $5,000 cheaper than what I paid for it nearly 10 years ago.
Shut up.
I give $165,000 for that car 8 years ago. And it's now $160,000.
That is insane.
So I could have had that car, drove it for 8 years, done 9,000 miles in it, and basically got my money back. Mad, isn't it?
Ferraris.
Yeah, Ferrari, yeah.
I mean, happy days.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Were you for half a second? Did you go out?
I did look at it and thought, flipping hell, like that is a really not, because it was I saw it straight away because it's very distinctive. It's Scuderia red, black roof, red brake calipers, big wheels, had the nice diamond cut wheels, and I spotted it a mile off because there wasn't many Scuderia red ones around, especially with Nero roof. So I said, that's my old car. And at first they said, oh, no, it can't be. I said, who supplies it? They said, Lancaster. I said, I bet it's my old car. Tell me the reg. Yeah. And it was.
That's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
So funny. Anyway, well, look, yes, we're going to draw an end to today's episode. Thank you so much for all of you that submitted questions. Super good just to, well, I guess things do things a little bit differently. Next few weeks, I've got a lot of travel ahead. Oh my God. First, I've got an understanding wife, but don't worry, it does mean that we will still be smashing out the episodes, but there's going to be an annoying amount of stuff which I can't really talk about because of embargoes and upload schedules and things like that. But keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram for next week's episode because we're going to do an announcement ahead of that. And something else I wanted to mention. Oh yes, After the Checkered Flag will be coming to Recast very shortly. We're going to be doing an update around testing before the season kicks off, Paul and I. So yes, thank you so much to those of you who've watched the live stream over on Recast. In the meantime, if you want to follow Tony on social media, he's at Tony Gravelwood Car Sales on most social media platforms. I'm at Seen Through Glass on most social media platforms. And we'll be back with you for another episode live on Recast and on all of our other players next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.